I wonder.
I'm Curly.
I wonder if everyone knows what that song is from.
That it's sad when they don't, because then you feel really freaking old.
And if you don't, it's kind of entitled Three Blind Mice.
Yeah, right.
And I got to tell you something. It really fits this show to a T. That's like almost our theme song, Three Blind Mice. I mean, none of us know what the other's doing. No, nobody. Nah. One's it's a dementia show. Like we're the show, and tonight is going to be the show about nothing. So welcome everybody.
Welcome. I know. And I put up a quick post, and then I got involved with building the darn boxes, and I completely forgot to put it on the other pages and do the whole blowout thing that I usually put on.
Nobody. So welcome everybody to the Thursday night edition of Detect America, your number one metal detecting show about nothing. I'm in the house, your host Steve Pacifico, and yes, you wish you were me. Sorry, you're not. Mr. Hollywood Frank Lopergola and our awesome sponsor, the Gold Digger, Ron DeGhetto. Good evening, Ron. How are you tonight?
Good evening, fellas. I am wonderful, thank you.
This is actually a special show.
It is.
Yeah, it's extremely special because we're actually going to cover metal detecting topics.
We're going to talk about metal detecting tonight.
That's enough for that.
No colonoscopies unless you got pictures.
So we are probably the only metal detecting show that ever did 1 hour on
nothing,
a colonoscopy. But
to highlight, I never knew that you could find out if you have tonsillitis via a colonoscopy.
I'm proof that you can. So before we get started, let's not forget our gracious sponsor, Ron DeGhetto at the Gold Digger Metal Detectors. For all your metal detecting needs, guys, he's really knocked it out of the park for the Detect America show and our members. So really, if you're thinking about getting anything, at least give Ronnie a chance. Okay, and give him a call. You're going to get discounts. You're going to get great service. Ever since Ronnie has became our sponsor, I swear to God, and this is no lie. I don't, you know me. I don't pull no punches. Not one person has been dissatisfied with something Ronnie's done for them, and it's always the opposite. I got a phone call from my wife's sister who bought a metal detector. She called me up. She's screaming. She's putting it together. How did he get it to me the next day? I got it the next, and this is like a week or so ago when the post office was so backed up. So
he's got connections in the post office.
Nothing but great things with Ronnie out there, and also
go ahead.
Big news in Florida Hunt 7. There's always something new, someone else coming. So if you're not involved with Florida Hunt 7, you want to get over to the Florida Hunt 7 Facebook page. And if you're going to be going, we just ask that you please let Greg Papalo know as soon as you can, because making these arrangements is not easy. And the better guide or gauge he has on number of attendees is how great the event can be. So
guy said he got his ugly box, Ron, no instructions. That's not on me.
Actually, I think I might have missed a couple boxes.
Send me an email, or you send me your PM, and I'll send you them digitally.
Yeah, there you go. Either that, or Frank, or me, and we could get you a digital copy of it. And I do apologize. I was shocked one day. A bunch came in, and I'm like, I'm putting them in boxes.
A bunch came in.
Or if you live in Florida or somewhere tropical,
we'll deliver it.
Yeah. I'll come down and show you how to use the box.
Spare room overlooking the water, of course.
Yeah, the spare room and a boat.
So I got to answer the burning question everybody on this page has been asking. Everybody, where can they see more of me?
Oh, Jesus!
So just so everybody knows, and the only reason that I know there's some interest in the topic is because I literally spend the first 2 to 3 hours of my morning answering electrolysis questions. So Sunday night, guys, I'm doing a show. I'm doing Josh Kimmel's show, Beyond Sight and Sound. It's an electrolysis night. It's on Spreaker, Sunday night, 8 o'clock over on Spreaker. You can go to Josh Kimmel's show, Beyond Sight and Sound, and click the link there. But we will Q&A and answering electrolysis, talking about the ugly book, talking about electrolysis in general. I'll probably get pissed off at somebody that says lemon juice or something, but
Opie Brockett broke his ankle, ripped all the crap in his knee, dislocated his right shoulder, and he's confined to a wheelchair for months.
Wow.
Opie, I hope you're okay, buddy. I'm so sorry to hear that. Oh my God, that's everything. What's left? What other bones are left after all that?
That's crazy.
You should have just I busted everything except my skull bone.
My skull bone.
Jeez. So let me point out some other things. Don't forget, or like you said, Josh Kimmel at Beyond Sight and Sound, Audra and Rachel at History Hunters.
Jersey. I think they got a new video dropped today.
And listen, there's a couple of guys, newbies on the block. We're talking newbies tonight.
Listen, we're trying to help them out. We're taking them under our wing.
Guys need our assistance.
We're helping them get started in the business.
Right. And that we're giving them pointers left and right. They're calling us all the time for pointers. And I got some of their giveaways. So if you've never met the Diggers, KG and Ringy, they're broadcasting on Tuesday nights at 8:30 on Facebook, Digging with KG and Ringy. So tonight I have 2 signed postcards by them. And we have...
Don't mind that they say to Frank. It's okay.
Dude, no, I got my personal one right up here somewhere, and ain't nobody getting a hold of. Oh, here it is. Hold on. It says Steve, blah, blah, to me.
Looks like Steve was written in over Frank. I don't understand.
Yeah, guess what? You know what? They weren't talking about you on their show the other night. Now were they?
Well, that's because I wasn't hitting them up and harassing them for prizes.
Were they? They're not telling you they want to hang out with you when it comes time to be in Florida, do they?
They're using you to get to me.
So those guys are going to be sending me more stuff to give away, but tonight we're going to be giving away 2 of those things. And I got to tell you, man, I honestly, I love their videos. And you know what cracks me up is everybody wants them to do another TV show. But after we've interviewed them and they explained how TV production and producers put kind of some constraints on their whole show and everything, you don't want that. Listen,
I gotta tell you, I think that this whole COVID thing, I think it opened up a lot of people to really watching more. It was hard to watch. For me, it was always hard to watch TV shows or anything on the computer. I couldn't sit in one spot all the time. But now you can broadcast your computer to your TV.
I was just gonna say,
there's such a wide range of stuff you can see guys like this that you don't see. They're definitely unfiltered more now.
And my wife and I put KG and Ringy on our 55-inch TV the other night.
Yeah, exactly.
So they're better. These guys, you want Tim Saylor to be free to do the production himself.
Free to do it be himself, and after a couple of German beers.
He's a whiz with the technology and everything else, and you want him to be in his creative zone, which he is, and he's under no constraints. So once these guys start getting comfortable, and I lead them down the right path of how to broadcast properly, well, they're set. They're really
you have to kind of take the good with the bad while they get on their feet.
But their videos and everything else you see, if you go to their web pages, and hey, Steve Mason's here. Good to see you, buddy.
Hey, Steve.
You go to their pages and you watch some of their videos, and even like I put the reruns on YouTube up on the TV and watch their Digger shows. So they're just coming along great. They're going to be okay, I think. I
had Rachel and Audra up on my big screen the other
day. They're the best too. They're coming along great. I think they're awesome. So it's not even though. listen, even though people wanted to come out and try and compete with Detect America, okay, let's face it, that happened. It's not, we don't see it as a competition. It's not a competition. We want to be friends with folks.
Even though I told everybody that KG and Ringy show was on at 7:30. It's all right. Don't worry.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. That's really good, Frank. Yeah, you really just pounded in there, buddy.
It was a mistake. It was an honest mistake.
So, welcome, KG and Ringy, to the world of broadcasting.
The world of podcasting. Dipping your toes in the water for the first time.
So, all right. So, Ronnie, let me ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
How many do you think in Christmas, through the Christmas season, you sold a bunch of detectors? How many people would you say that were new to the hobby of metal detecting?
Besides Steve.
Actually, quite a few. We had a lot of sales in that, the $200 to $500 range. That's kind of the market for newbies to come in at. And we sold a boatload. I mean, I've reordered twice already, and our inventory is still dwindling. There's a lot of stuff we have to replenish.
Right. So we know around this time that a lot of people, newbies to we call you newbies, but guess what, man? You are just as much as an appreciated member of this group as
Newbie
anyone.
is a term of affection.
It's not nothing wrong.
It's new to the hobby.
I got to tell you, I went out to a field the other day, and this is why I kind of wanted to do this topic. I get out to the field, and even though it's public property, it's a cornfield, but there were open holes, not filled in. And I don't understand, because it's so simple that, well, maybe they don't know. Maybe they just got a detector this year and they want to go out and do this. And so about this time every year, we want to talk about some things you need to know if you're new to the hobby, right?
Exactly. New to the hobby. And again, one of my one of my pet peeves, and not a rant peeve, but there's folks that get into the hobby, they love the hobby, and they're in it for a year, they're in it for 2 years, and that's the period of time where you develop your bad habits. And some of that is just because you're on your own, you're left to your own devices, and some of that may be from bad advice from people that may not have as much time in it. So we're going to address a couple of those things too. We got questions that came in about the AT Pro and about the Equinox, so we're going to try and address some of them, and just some of the stuff that we can talk about to help the newcomer to the hobby out.
So let's discuss before we get started. Another, see, Dawn goes, it's FNG, but Dawn, that's a police term. I know. that's the police term we always heard. So let's go over the code of ethics, okay? Every detectorist out there should be, whether you just picked up a detector today.
I forgot to print that out, by the way.
It's okay. It don't matter whether you just picked up a detector today or you've been using one for a while. We are ambassadors to this hobby. We have to lead by example. So, Ronnie, why don't you go ahead and give us one of the first topics of a code of ethics?
Well, like you said, number one, always fill your holes and leave the place looking like it was before you got there.
Probably the most important one, if you expect to ever get a permission again.
Come back. That's right. And
that's especially, well, when you're on a permission, you want to be even more detailed about filling the plugs, because you want to come back. And we're talking about whether you're on the beach, whether you're in the dirt, in the woods, on public property, private property.
Guys laugh at Steve. Guys, and we've known guys from other shows that laugh about filling the holes in the beach. I get it. There's kids on that beach every single day, and they're digging craters in there, and nobody's telling them to fill their holes. But when you're on the beach at 5 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, catching the sunrise, digging your holes, and those poor few early riser joggers come out and don't see the craters that you've left in there, and they break an ankle. It's nothing to kick your sand back in the hole.
And you're always being watched. You're always being watched.
Right.
And you could leave a 1 cup hole on the beach, and the kids could leave a 6-foot hole, but they saw you do it. And
at the end of the day, it's the impression that we have to give so we're not
Right.
made to look like assholes.
So basically, no matter where you're at, you want to fill in your holes. All right, Frankie, what do you got for another code of an ethic, another code of ethics?
Don't. First of all, permissions. Well, not really. This isn't really a code of ethics thing. This is more of a common sense thing. When you're first, especially when you're first starting out, and when you are going to door knock, and you want to try and get permission to get a piece of property. For whatever reason, metal detecting guys all believe that we have to dress up in camo, and like we're hiding from the targets. Well, when you're going to door knock on someone's property, it probably will behoove you not to be decked out in camo with this giant belt, 4 shovels on your back, 12 metal detectors. Say, hey, can I dig your yard? Okay, go the day before. Yeah, go in jeans and a t-shirt. Be polite.
You don't want to look like you're from the NRA.
Don't make it difficult for them to say no because you're such a nice person, as opposed to them saying no because you look like Rambo.
So were you really mad? Were you really mad the time I showed up with my rifle on my back asking if I could take that? So okay, so
he goes to a Girl Scout camp packing. So I mean,
Frank's big code of ethic, if everyone knows, is you should wear pants to detect with. I had to teach him that one when I first started detecting with him. So I got one, and I think this one I think is one of the most important, probably one of the number one codes is to, wherever you dig, make sure you are supposed to be there.
Yeah.
Or you have permission.
Don't assume you know the law.
Listen, guys out there have been caught on other people's property, and they've got caught up and got charges pressed against them. Okay.
We hear a lot of guys. Oh well, if you go out there, they have to make you leave one time before they can arrest you. If it's posted and you go out there against the posted sign, they ain't got to warn you nothing.
No, ignorance law is no excuse, and that's another part of it is if you're out in what you think is a public area and the police come and tell you cannot metal detect there, politely leave. Okay, there's no need to start a fight and get yourself in trouble over a detecting spot.
And one other little thing to remember as we're moving along in this modern era of legalized marijuana, okay, a lot of those farmers out there, guys, are no longer growing corn. And if they were willing to put a foot in your butt because you're in their cornfield, just imagine what's going to happen if you're in their pot field.
Well,
I guarantee you security is going to be a little different around the marijuana fields these days.
I've learned that some people are, no matter what, their property is their property. They don't want to go on it, no matter what. So please make sure you have permission to be where you are. And I'm seeing things in the chat about no cemeteries. So let's put that one in there.
That's just common sense.
A detector with good morals. A detectorist with good morals will not metal detect in cemeteries.
And you're right. And I can only speak from here in Jersey. Okay?
Did you say I'm right?
I know. Well, partially.
Hold on, back up.
I'll correct you. Don't worry.
Okay.
But here in Jersey, when you buy a plot for a loved one, you're not leasing that from the church. You're not leasing that from the cemetery. You're buying a plot of ground. You have a deed for that plot of ground. So therefore, if you're digging on that plot of ground, you are trespassing. Period. End of story. There ain't it's a cemetery. Nobody cares.
Right.
You're trespassing. That piece of property is owned by a private individual in this state. And any one of us, and 90% of the guys in our group will say something to you. And we won't defend you if somebody comes and they want to charge you with trespassing or disorderly conduct, something like that, because it's wrong, guys. It's wrong. No, the person in the ground probably doesn't give a crap. But guess what? The person driving by who has a loved one buried there, they give a crap big time.
Oh, they're going to jump right on you. Yeah. So, and we talk about this property thing because, you know what? You can say a lot about Jersey, but you know what? If I'm on someone's property, there's a very little chance that someone's going to come out shooting at me. In Jersey, they come out and yell at you. They call the cops for the most part. But you know what? We broadcast not only in the United States, in Canada, and in some of these rural places, man, it's God and guns, and that's my property. And you don't know what some yahoo's going to come out when he thinks you're on his property. So, great. So, Ronnie, hit us with another one.
Well, I was just going to mention as far as with trespassing in the state of New Jersey, and I could only speak for the state of New Jersey. If you're on somebody's property and you don't have their permission and they do call the police, it's a $250 fine. And there's no talking your way out of it. The property
minimum.
Belongs. Yes.
That's minimum. Don't forget. I'm going to say.
Do it a couple times and see what happens.
Yeah. I might know a judge or two that $250 is not the fine they usually give.
Well, we had morons down here that did it 2 and 3 times, snuck in from different places, and the judge locally said, "Okay, since the fine's not hurting you, 15 days in jail." Oh. It runs kind of along the shoplifting charges. After a couple of times of slapping you on the wrist, they'll slap you on the ass.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, give us another. Code of ethics.
I was just thinking. I lost my chain of thought. Federal property. Okay. Off limits.
Yeah.
Hey, Chuck Smart, I thought you were going to say make sure you're using the detector from the gold digger. And I thought that would be a code of ethics.
No, not at all. Not at all. But on the federal land, they can confiscate your equipment.
You can go to jail.
They can confiscate your car.
Yeah.
They can put you in jail.
Get caught in Valley Forge or Gettysburg.
Oh, forget it. Yeah, no, that's jail time. Now, I'm just talking about going up to what's along the Delaware up north.
The Water Gap.
The Water Gap.
Yeah.
One of our club members was caught up there, and basically they were waiting for him at his car when he came down. And real simple, they were nice to him. They took his equipment, and he had to actually go to court to get it back. I think it was about $350.
You know what I noticed? They take away the things you like. They take away your detector.
That's not by accident.
They take away your detector.
That came from years of experience, I'm sure.
But they'll take your pickup truck. They'll take your dog. But you know what? They won't take your wife.
They'll take your weed. Your metal detector.
I mean, why is that? Why? Instead, punish me by taking my wife.
And KG and Ringy may know about this as well, because they did a show in one of their seasons at a place called Coleman Farm, which literally backs up to Gettysburg Battlefield. It's not federal property. It's 100% private. And during the 9 years I was doing the big dig Southeast Pennsylvania for the college, we did park at Coleman's Farm, and literally the entire time we're on that field, there's just cars lined up with federal park guys watching. If we were digging for 8 hours, they were there for 8 hours, just watching, praying that you'd cross that imaginary line into Gettysburg so they could toss your butt in jail.
All right, what do you got for us, Frank? You got another one?
No, move along. You do one.
no, you guys really, I mean, come on, there's a lot more. There's a lot more to some of this. What else we got? I mean,
prepared for other stuff.
Is it a code of ethic to, if you find something you can return,
here's a good one. Here's a good one. I got one now. Hold that.
Now you got one. All of a sudden he wants me to back up. Well, yeah.
So, and this can be a heartbreaker, guys. I mean, and it has been a heartbreaker to just about all of us who have been doing this for a while.
Oh, will that be nice to my wife's speech again? Because that ain't happening.
Yeah, I don't have to. She'll kick your butt. So you get a permission, and and guys, everybody's like, oh, you should get it in writing. 99% of the time, it's a handshake permission. We know that. When you try to get a permission in writing, and now, if you can get it, but you try to get permission in writing, half the time it's like, yeah, now you're scaring me, get off my property. So you get a permission. Old guy says, absolutely. Just show me what you found when you're done. Absolutely. You bring it to him and show it to you. You can keep it. I don't want nothing. Just bring me to me and show me what you found. And then you bring him, and you got a couple beautiful large cents, and you got a silver thimble, and you got a real, and you bring it to him, and you show it to him, and he says, "You know what? I want it." Guess what? Smile
Yeah. It can
and
be a
hand it to him.
heartbreaker. Yeah.
Smile and hand it to him. The only thing, and that's happened to me a couple times, and the only thing I asked was, "Can I please take a picture of it before I give it to you?" But that's the nature of the beast. You have permission to be on private property. Basically, when I give you permission to be on my property, I give you permission to metal detect on my property. I don't. It's not automatic that you get to keep everything that you find on that property. Because if the owner says, "I want it,
Yeah.
give it to me," guess what? Hand it over.
Yeah.
And listen, the vast majority of the time, that never happens. But it has. It absolutely has. They expect you to come up with a couple pieces of buckshot and old deer skull.
And it might be something that's linked to the property. It might be their great grandfather, and that makes people feel good.
And that's the one thing that I always tell somebody who gives permission. I said, if I come across anything that is linked to your property, it's yours. No questions asked. I will stop what I'm doing and I will bring it to you and turn it over to you. And that's kind of safe too, because there's not a whole lot of things that you find in the ground that are directly linked to a house. But I found rings. I found rings with the initials, and the initials matched up to the property owner's name. And then I've had a woman say, "Yeah, it was my grandfather's." Blah 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 blah.
Yep.
Guess what? Don't even think twice. Give it to them, and that greases the wheels for you to keep the coins and stuff like that.
Like I say, if you're out on the beach and you find a class ring, listen, you are all in your rights to make your own decision on what you do with your finds.
Right.
Like we talk about when you find coins, whether you clean them or not, it's your coin. You can do what you want.
Absolutely.
I guess legally, or I don't want to say legally, but in metal detecting rules, you found a ring. You don't have to return it, but you know what? It feels good to return it sometimes. And if there's evidence that could lead you back to the owner or a relative of the owner, it's in good faith. It's good karma to go and return that item. We've also had times where people I tried to return an item. I tried to return an item to a lady, and I said, like, I called, "Please have this woman call me. Tell her I have her ring." Never got a phone call. Well, after the third time, guess what? I scrapped it.
You tried.
Another gentleman tried to return a class ring that was just lost by someone. They didn't believe him. They thought he was a stalker or something. They didn't get the, but when you can return it, do your best to return it. Good return is good karma.
And we always say 90% of your rings are unidentifiable. Well, we've had cases here, and everybody should be aware. You pull that $5,000, $6,000, $10,000 hunk of jewelry off the beach, and it is identifiable, and it is reported that it was missing. Somebody lost it, and you keep it, and someone opens their mouth. You are now in possession of stolen property. Improper disposition. If you can return it, if you can ID it, it is not yours.
Right.
And if somebody reports it and you get caught, and granted, there's a lot of kinks in that chain that have to happen in order for that to take place, but it has happened. If you make the honest attempt to give it back, and you can't, God bless America, it's yours.
Bottom line is, you live with yourself. Do the right thing. Ronnie, do you have another?
I'm running out of thoughts.
Another gentleman. Pardon me, sir? I'm sorry. What'd you say, Ron?
I didn't say something. Who was that just talking?
That was my
something
computer. I know. I was reloading my computer, and the volume goes off.
Okay. I was a little confused. Geez, I have the code of ethics printed somewhere. It's almost embarrassing.
I know. We could have prepared.
Put out a copy of the code of ethics.
None of us. This is what I say. This is all impromptu, all improv.
Well, one thing is to be when you're hunting, especially in a beach area, if you're going to be hunting while there are people out sunbathing, I mean, it makes common sense not to be, scooting around their blankets. It can be very annoying to people, and you could kick sand on them and stuff like that. So, give them a little bit of a leeway, and respect their space is what I'm trying to say. Because I've seen,
when you're in a public place, any public place.
Yeah, I've seen fights start over that. Somebody with a metal detector kicking sand up.
Guy one day, yeah. Yeah,
kicking sand, sure. So
right. And even in parks, people can be having picnics and stuff. You just,
we did pretty good covering the code of ethics, by the way. I just
I
read
know. Well, I still got a couple more.
Go ahead.
Steve's codes.
Well, the one people are posting in there is take all your trash.
Ted, that's a big one.
Yeah.
Don't leave your trash.
Yeah.
Take it with you.
And everywhere you go, you should walk out with a pouch. If you're not coming out with a pouch full of trash, then
you're not detecting. You're not good.
So.
You're missing a lot.
Now, also, I mean, I think to wrap this up, I think that from detectorist to detectorist, it's about respect, ambassadorship, and really comes down to what I preach about Detect America, the unity of Detect America. I mean, yeah, you're going to see someone post a great find and you're going to be jealous and be like, oh man, I wish. That's one thing. But respect for fellow digger is pretty paramount. Okay. That's why Detect America is so great. We're there. We try and treat each other like family. And when someone's in the time of need, we like to be there for them as best we can. Even during this COVID time, we just wanted to break you up and make you laugh a little bit. It's just like have fun and treat each other with respect, because that's really the foundation. You can't be a good ambassador to this hobby if you're on here breaking someone's.
And there's guys on this page, and you're going to hear it. There's guys out there right now that are hearing how we're talking right now and going, you guys are something. Listen, we are not Boy Scouts. Trust me. We're not Boy Scouts. But when you're out there, if you expect to get another permission, if you expect to have a gate opened up for you to come in and dig, then you better act like a Boy Scout. Because the civilians out there that don't know what you're doing and don't understand what you're doing, being out there and being courteous and filling your holes and leaving it like you found it and taking out your trash has opened way more doors than going in there and acting like an idiot. And going in there and acting like you belong there, you own the place.
And remember, listen, there's nothing like a permission to hunt. To have a permission to hunt is great. And sometimes when you make those people happy, they say, hey, you know what? I got a friend who's got property. Let's go try there.
Right.
And also just remember, when you're in public and if someone says, hey, you're bothering me, just leave it be. Or a cop says, you can't be here. And even if they're not right, even if there's some guy doesn't own that property or whatever, and they say, hey, I own this, just be politically correct about it, because you don't want to push the issue or make other detectorists look bad. That's all.
Because a lot of people throw around the term that we have the right to be here, we have the right to be there. You really don't. Your rights are completely at the disposal of the authorities, because again, just like Steve said, it happens all the time. You're in a park that is open to detecting, and you've got a rookie cop or you got a cop one day that's having a bad day, and he comes up and says, you're not supposed to be digging here.
Cops on the bad days.
Say, okay, thank you, officer. I'm sorry, I won't do it again. And then you can always go and you can always check with City Hall. You can always go and check the law, and the next time it happens, you can be polite about it and say you checked. Right. But the argument, there's too many times where you get in an argument with the cop because or the authority of any kind because you're right, and all of a sudden those rights are gone. Because too many City Hall say it's just too much of a pain in the rear end for us to have this kind of argument. That's just not allowed.
So
we are always have been and always will be on thin ice. We are always trading on thin ice when it comes to permissions, especially on public lands. And it's just too easy for them to take that away from us. Listen, we went round and round and round and petitioned and everything to let us on the wildlife management areas. They allow motorcycles. They hunt, obviously. They all kinds of activities, but no way, no how, heaven, hell, or earth would they let detectors in there.
And don't get us wrong. We've been out on the beach and been asked to move along. Supposedly the beach is closed at 10 o'clock, and there were times where me and Frank like to get on the beach at 10.
Yeah.
And the cops would come out and be like, you got to move. And we'd be like, okay. And some of them didn't care. Some of them were like, oh, okay, no problem.
Because
But then,
you got to remember, a lot of your cops, especially in Jersey, a lot of your cops on the beach during the summer are kids that have special certifications. They're new to their job and are going to a lot more closely follow the letter of the law than the old timers going to say. A couple times, me and Steve were out there, and they kicked us off. Then the old cop came up and said, "You guys are what, in your 50s?
right.
You're not hurting anything. Go ahead, Horn."
But you know that one spot I'm talking about. You know what I'm
Absolutely.
talking about. They don't want you on that section of beach because it's
And
a
Ronnie,
very
they said, "Oh, can I get you a wheelchair?" Yeah, absolutely.
so they go, you can go so many blocks down, and we're like, okay, but but you just pay attention and don't be an idiot.
Yeah, it stinks, and especially if you're on that spot, you're having a good night. It stinks, but better you live to dig another day.
Exactly. So, and I know, Frank, you wanted to touch on some other topics.
Yeah, well, I
here.
get every time we do this, I put it out there. If you're having any problems, put them out there, and we'll see if I can help you. And there's a couple of things I want to address, just because it drives me a little nuts, and if it's your advice to yourself, and you're out there and you're detecting, and that's how you live your life as a detector. God bless America. When you are giving this advice to other people, especially people that are new to the hobby, it drives me a little nuts, because not only is it more work than these people have to do, but it's actually counterproductive. So when way back before electric lights, when Ronnie was detecting, so and Ronnie, Steve may not remember. Steve hasn't been in it as long, but we had the old TR machines. We had the old basic analog metal detectors. And when you powered these things up, the first thing you did was ground balance where you were digging. Okay, these machines didn't know their butt from hole in the ground when it came to what they were discriminating, what they weren't discriminating. So you take them out, you find your hunk of ground that you're going to dig, and you ground balance it. And that leveled out everything, and you went on your way and you dug. Okay. In this day and age, guys, we have come so far and away, and it drives me nuts. And I know it's because a lot of the old timers are giving advice to the newcomers based on what we grew up learning. I ground my old machines. I ground balance every time I thought about it, not thinking. But and the example is this new generation of machine. First, let's explain what ground balance is. The original design of ground balance was the Earth. The Earth has a magnetic field, guys, and occasionally that magnetic field can pop up into your ears. You can hear it. You can see it. So what ground balancing is designed to do is to eliminate the ground. Whatever noises that ground may produce, eliminate that, and you're basically starting at zero from whatever signal the ground is putting out. You're starting flat. It's such a misused process. Let's put it this way. I've had a CTX since it came out. I have never ground balanced it, ever. I have had digital machines prior to the CTX. I have never ground balanced them, ever. What ground balancing does is, again, it eliminates that base level noise that the Earth puts out. What it also does is, if you're ground balancing in an area that's prone to a hot rock here and there, you got nice chunks of iron that are ringing in your ear. So the first thing a lot of the old timers will tell you is, "Oh, you got to ground balance it." Well, when you ground balance that hot rock, or that big chunk of iron that's chirping up into the non-ferrous zone, and you ground balance that out, you lose everything that fell underneath that. So you're losing your nickel, you're losing your gold, you're losing a lot of your coppers. You can technically ground balance out every target that's worth digging out there by constantly ground balancing. The only time I ever had to really ground balance a modern machine was digging out in Virginia in that red clay crap. I ground balanced it out there one time. These digital machines today come with automatic ground balance. And in my opinion, they should completely eliminate your damn manual ground balance. Your automatic ground balance will ground balance your machine better than you could ever ground balance it if your life depended on it, and it does it constantly. So if the ground changes and you haven't changed your ground balance, if you're doing it manually, it's going to go nuts. It's going to drive you crazy. If you keep it in automatic ground balance, it's always going to be adjusting. There is no reason and guys that have new Equinoxes, guys that have new Simplexes, guys that have CTX 3030s. When the old timers will tell you should ground balance it every hour, you should never have to ground balance it unless you're in an extreme situation. The ground that is just screaming constantly by natural minerals, you should never have to ground balance it. You can't ground balance it as good as the automatic ground balance. So when the old timers are telling you to do that, tell you thank you very much, but I'm going to keep it automatic. You're going to do far, far, far better in automatic ground balance than ground balancing it by manual every time you think about it. So someone had told me something about someone telling them to ground balance it. So I figured I should bring that up.
Are you completely finished?
Steve, did you even know that about ground balancing?
Yeah, I don't even care about ground balancing.
Well,
I'm turn and go, dude. I turn it on, I go.
And that's good. Go ahead, Ron.
Basically, with the more updated multi-frequencies machines, ground balance is not necessary at all.
Right.
The machine takes care of everything by itself. But again, single frequencies at points they do have to be ground balanced. Maybe when you start, or if you cross a large, vast land, like a football field or two, you may want to just tap it again. But you got to realize this, as Frank had mentioned. You want to make sure the ground is free of targets before you ground balance, because if you ground balance over a nickel, a penny, a dime, a quarter, you balance that coin out.
It's like using notch discrimination.
So yeah, it's very important that if you do ground balance, make sure that the plot of land you're ground balancing on has no other targets beneath it, because you will lose those targets.
So it's funny, but in the chat, it's so cute. Celeste Roll says, is that why everybody holds their detectors up at the beginning of a hunt? Celeste, that's so no one can cheat, okay?
That's so nobody cheats and finds the coins on the outer edge.
God forbid you find a target before they say go, and you're going to get
notorious for picking up those Incas before we get started.
You're going to get your butt beat. That's what that's all about. Now, yeah, that's funny. But so also,
I get what Ronnie's saying, but I refuse to do it. I refuse to ground balance. And again, not blowing smoke up my own rear end, but I've never had, and you know what? And Andy Savage has backed me up. Andy's the same way. Certain situations, if it's dire, all right, I'll pick a piece of ground that's neutral as you can get. And I know, like in our area, I know where the ground balance should lie. And there's too many machines that I do the manual ground balance, and it's completely off from where we know the ground balance lies here. So I'm a complete slave to automatic ground balance, period.
And in most cases, too, our area, it doesn't need to be ground balanced.
It's almost neutral. We have such neutral ground out our way.
Right. If you're going to maybe a red clay, Virginia,
yeah, exactly,
absolutely different story. And what some people may not notice or know, high-end multi-frequency machines have the ability to ground balance. You can ground balance the CTX. You can ground balance the Equinox.
Right, exactly.
Okay, running in multi-frequency. So it is available for the harshest conditions, not everyday soil that we deal with here.
Now, if you're on the beach and you're swinging an AT Pro or something like that, listen, if you're in the black wet pack of Jersey Shore, you're going to ground balance every 5 minutes. That's the nature. If you want to swing in that kind of condition, that's the nature of the beast. It won't auto balance. Plus, it's a single frequency. It's not going to auto balance fast enough for you to be able to swing. So you'll auto balance that machine, and you may get 5 feet, 10 feet, and the conditions change that drastically in that short of a period, and you'll ground balance again. That's how you get single frequencies to work in the real harsh stuff. Yep. In red clay, Virginia, it's harsh, but it's harsh everywhere. So once you ground balance it, you're fairly good for that terrain. But the beach is a whole different animal. You have to if you're not using a multi with a good And multi is one of the reasons that's quiet in the water anyway. But if you don't have that good multi-frequency in the wet pack and you're not ground balancing, yeah, it's a different animal when you're using one of those machines as opposed to a good multi-frequency.
So another thing we usually run into around this time of year, and we probably don't have enough time to talk about it now, is that as experienced detectors, or maybe even a newbie in the field, you're going to be approached by numerous people asking you which metal detector they should buy.
I have deleted that question off our page many times.
We all know, anyone who has bought a metal detector, the first thing you're told, the first thing you ask is, what metal detector should I buy? I mean, it's natural, it's common, it happens with everyone. Hey, what metal detector should I get? So I'm sure we're going to touch on this subject in the future, okay? But in answering that question, you want to give them the best answer as possible. And you just can't turn around and go, with no information, you can't go around and go, buy a CTX, because that's what I use. We'll talk to you. We'll teach you about how to answer these folks and give them the proper information.
Right.
Because you just shouldn't be jumping out there and going, I use a simplex, that's what I like. Well, if you don't have any information from them on where they're going to hunt, when they're going to hunt, how many times they're going to hunt, you just can't be throwing out the simplex might be the wrong answer.
I got to touch on this AT Pro because somebody asked me specifically to touch on an AT Pro question, and I wanted to hit it before we got off.
Well, let me just say one thing before you do that, so I can be. I'm going to do this. I'm going to start taking the names for the giveaways. You know, all you have to do is like the page. If you haven't liked the page, like it now. Like our chat. At the top of the chat, there's a little thumbs up. You can like it, you can smile, you can love it. Right now I have 133 names there, and honestly, it's now 8:47. If you're not watching my show by 8:47 and I don't get your name on the list, that's not my fault. You know, I should be doing this at 8 o'clock. I should take all the names at 8 o'clock and see what happens. But no, so I'm going to take all the names for the giveaway now. And do me another favor. When we're doing the giveaways, you're going to have 1 minute for that person to respond, because for our giveaways, all we want you to do is be here. That's all we want. Just be here for your giveaway. I don't think that's too much to ask. So I'm going to take all the names. I'm going to put them on the wheel while Frank talks, and then we'll start giving stuff away. Unless you want Frank to go through with that speech about the ground balancing again.
Well, I'm sorry, I was talking over your head,
Steve. You can hit the rerun button. So go ahead, Frank. You guys talk while I do that.
There were specific friends out there that were getting certain information that I wanted to make sure they heard about the whole ground balancing thing. But anyway, so we had somebody on the chat that asked him specifically about the AT Pro, and his AT Pro chatters all the time. He says sometimes he just can't get rid of it, and he wanted me to touch on ways to get rid of that. And I just want to say, AT Pro is a good, solid machine, guys. So this isn't a bash on the AT Pro. The AT Pro is a fine machine. The AT Pro is notorious for chattering for a million different reasons. And just a quick list. And I'm probably not going to touch on every reason for the chatter, but there's a couple of great videos out there that the guys are going to go down the list. But just one of those couple of ones that I found right off the bat, the AT Pro, the interface where your coil wire screws into your AT Pro chassis, that always has had a tendency of coming loose. And if it gets loose far enough, it wiggles and it'll chatter. It'll make this horrible, constant background chatter. Tighten that thing up, and a lot of times that's going to get rid of that chatter. A lot of guys will put blue Loctite on it, the stuff that's not permanent, just to keep it from backing off. But that's one of the main reasons that, for whatever reason, that interface always had a problem with backing off a little bit. The coil wire, a lot of guys get those. They unwrap their new AT Pro or AT Max, and they see everything comes wrapped up with these cool little Velcro tabs, and they take them off and they throw them in the trash. Well, I think the AT Pro comes with plastic clips. Place those clips up and down your AT Pro. Make sure your coil wire is wrapped and stable, because at the very bottom, that little loop at the bottom, if that thing wiggles, if that wire doesn't move completely in sync with that coil, and it wiggles like this across that coil, it's going to give you feedback. It's going to give you noise.
Oh, yeah, because that's throwing electricity through that too, right?
Well, it's metal. Your wire's metal, and if it's not moving completely, listen, you could put You can put a lead weight on your coil. It's not going to make a noise if it's moving with your coil. It's when it doesn't move exactly with the coil, moves against the coil, that you get background noise.
Exactly.
Sensitivity too high, probably number one reason you get chatter in any metal detector. And listen, I'm the first one to tell you, I run my machine with the sensitivity as high as I can possibly have it. But your sensitivity should always be fluid on your machine. No piece of ground is going to be exactly the same. There's some places you can run that sensitivity all the way up, and there's some places you simply can't do that because it's going to feed back with minerals in the ground. So notch down your listen. You notch down that sensitivity almost halfway, and you still have almost 75% sensitivity in the AT Pro and other machines like it. So try the sensitivity. Don't think all of a sudden you're not going to find a coin because you notched down your sensitivity a couple notches. Probably the number one reason for the chatter. Factory reset, guys. Guys will do factory reset and tell you that it'll get rid of it. Yeah, if there's no other option in the world and you're on the verge of throwing it in the trash or sending it back to Garrett, try a factory reset on it. If you have an issue with that that's causing that chatter, the factory reset's just going to reset the machine. It's not going to fix the problem. But if you have no other options, give it a try. Frequency shift. I think if I remember correctly, the AT Pro's got 4 frequency shifts, frequency adjustments. If you're digging with other guys that may be on the same frequency, shift it up 1, shift it up 2. That may get rid of any noise. A lot of times, other machines will interfere with your machine. Okay. And again, if you've tried everything and nothing's working, then swap out a coil, try a new coil, or give old Garrett a call.
I got a whole bunch of numbers. I forget what the highest was. I think it was 134 when I went to copy the names. So there we go. We got the wheel in order. And tonight I'm not going to turn the camera around because I'm just giving things away on my own. So I've got 2 things from the diggers I'll be giving away right now. Let me turn on the light here so I can see. And you're going to get a digger video and a signed digger postcard. And trust me, you like their videos. Throw this thing in there and watch it, because they're, put it on while you're sitting on the computer and watch it, because I'll tell you what, I have a lot of fun watching their stuff.
Paul
and the first winner of that is going to be, and you have 1 minute to respond, is Nancy Bodwell. Nancy Bodwell, you have 1 minute. Guys, let's look for their names in the chat. Now, your name has to be seen by Frank, Ronnie, or I. Okay, and no, Tom Davis, your name is not on the list. Okay, I took it out. So Nancy Bodwell, you have 1 minute. There you go. So Nancy, you're a winner.
1 minute.
Nancy's an avid viewer. Congratulations, Nance.
And Paul Brescia, we do have the Knox holiday specials.
Paul Brescia just picked up his prize today, right, Frank?
He picked it up today, yes, sir.
Yeah. All right.
And a lot of guys are asking me, guys. I literally put the first batches of those prizes that we held through Christmas in the mail today. I apologize when I ship a book to somebody and it takes 17 days to get there. We were hanging off. I shipped the package to Ronnie. It took 2 days to get there. So we're starting to put that stuff in the mail and get it out to you now.
All my prizes have been mailed too. So if you're owed a prize by me and you haven't gotten it, contact me. And
I just want to make one mention. Some guys are talking about the Knox real quick, and some guys are sending it back to Mind Lab because they get a lot of chatter when they're around power lines.
So you'll be glad to know that Greg Papalo is not the next winner.
All right, so just so you guys know real quick, the Equinox is very susceptible to EMI. Lower your sensitivity down or walk away from it, guys, because your Mind Lab's not going to fix the fact that the Equinox chatters around high tension lines, chatters around transformers and stuff like that.
It has to do with the Bluetooth. Yeah. All right. So Daniel Nelson, you got 1 minute. I know he's here, but Daniel Nelson, we just got to see you come up in the chat. Yeah, that has to do with the Bluetooth, man. That thing acts weird sometimes. So Daniel Nelson, we get a response out of you in un momento. Yeah, Elaine got her prize. That was delivered to her personally. So yeah, me and her husband Rich went out hunting the other day. We didn't really find much. I got you, Daniel, and at least we got out for an hour or two. It was fun, but that's when I walk out in a field and I start to see open holes. You know, it's a little disheartening. So you know what I did? I filled them out. I filled them up. All right, so I'm going to throw 4 coins out there, and then we're going to wrap this show up. So let me dig in here for 4 coins and see what I got. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, look, a memorial penny. All right, so I'm going to give away 3 quarters and a $50. I got a $50 here, so we'll do the 3 quarters first. So the first winner for a silver quarter is going to be. I hope it's not Greg Papalo. Guy wins everything. Bruce Nolan. Bruce Nolan. 1 minute, Bruce. Bruce is probably here, but we just have to say, hi, honey, what's the matter? I'll be done in a few minutes. Why? You all right? See, I'll interrupt the show for my granddaughter, but not my wife. Bruce Nolan. We need to see Bruce Nolan. Bruce Nolan. Bruce, did you stick with us? You are running a timer, right, Frank? Frank?
I am running the timer, yes.
You ain't running a timer, are you?
30 seconds left. Okay,
he's running a timer. So we got Bruce. Yeah, Bruce. Well, you know what? Bruce is one of our avid viewers. So that's why our avid viewers get to win. Maybe Bruce fell asleep during that.
Bruce, occasionally, we have to talk about metal detectors. I know sometimes that's above your pay grade, but occasionally
I love it. I got fired up. Fired up. Fired up.
That's it.
All right. So Bruce is a winner of a silver quarter.
He is?
Yeah, Bruce Nolan.
Is he there?
Yeah, he answered up.
Oh, I didn't know that. I was still running the timer.
Oh, there we go. Oh, Jesus. Canadian Con Mullen. Please don't. All right, so Con Mullen, we need to see you. Yeah, I don't need the he's here. I don't need the he's here's, guys. It's got to be seen by Frank, Ronnie, or I, and I did see the last winner of Bruce Nolan. Con Mullen. Con Mullen. Canadian Con Mullen. That's nice, though. You know what? I know I say I don't like to ship to Canada, but these Canadian guys, they don't see much American silver coins much. So I'm kind of happy when they win them. So we're waiting for Con Mullen. Elaine says maybe he went to the boys' room or maybe he went to the girls' room. I know he could have been here, but when your name is called, you have 1 minute. So you have 1 minute. Con Mullen. Frank's watching the chat. I'm watching the chat. Ronnie's watching the chat.
That's it.
And we know how the rules go. Oh, he's watching hockey. He's Canadian. He's watching hockey. All right. So, Con Mullen, you missed out on a silver quarter. Sorry. Yeah, they do. Yeah, so they do. They go in an envelope, and that makes it easier for me. That is one good thing. All right. So, Con Mullen, you're null and void. And we're going to spin for the second silver quarter, and that's going to go out to here we go. What do we got? Richard Acuna. You have 1 minute. Yeah, he was working on his magic. I love Con Mullen's magic tricks, man. I wish he'd make Frank disappear.
Richard, I wish he cast a spell on Steve so he understood how metal detectors work.
I love it. Who did I call? I said the name. Look up. Richard Acuna. 1 minute. 1 minute. 1 minute. 1 minute.
Now my chat's not coming up.
Yeah, mine's not running on my phone.
I'm watching
on my laptop. the Facebook chat's like blank.
I got Richard Acuna is here.
I can't say. He might be.
No, he is. I see it. He
Here,
is.
yeah, he's here.
I got it
There's
running.
6 seconds to spare.
It's running pretty good on 2 computers. So, all right, one more wheel name, and then we go for a nice Walking Liberty half that I have pulled out of the bag. And don't forget, guys, these coins are. Oh, here's my buddy. I think this is a Canadian too. John Paul Grimes. John Paul Grimes. You have 1 minute. Guys, the he's here's are only. The he's here is only just getting in the way. You can type he's here all you want. It means nothing. All right. What was the name I just called? John Paul Grimes. John Paul Grimes. So, just by typing, you're just keeping the winner from getting his confirmation in there. So, John Paul Grimes. Yes, everyone. Yes, oh, yes, yes. John Paul's on the list for one. John Paul Grimes is here. All right. Now, before we wrap up the Biggie the Nice, Walking Liberty Silver Half. Nice Walking Liberty Silver Half is going to go to. This even speeds up the giveaways, don't it, man? It's not so bad. Mike Foreman. Mike Foreman. Mike Foreman. You have 1 minute. Mike Foreman. Yeah, I don't know who's in Canada. I thought John Paul Grimes was Canadian. Bruce Nolan's not. Nancy Boswell, they're all U.S. I think John Paul Grimes is. I may be wrong, but we'll get through that. Mike Foreman is here. Wait, did I miss someone? I did 3. I was supposed to, 3 silvers. Yeah, okay, 3 silvers and a half. And that was Mike Foreman. Congratulations, guys. Everyone for tonight's winnings are going to send their information to me. Again, the Digger videos are going to Nancy Bodwell and Daniel Nelson. The silver quarters are Bruce Nolan, Richard Acuna, John Paul Grimes, and the silver half goes to Mike Foreman. Congratulations, everybody. Please send me your information, and I'll get those out to you as soon as I can. How was that, Ron?
Wonderful job. Once again, efficiently. Wonderful job.
And now we can get out of here around 9 o'clock because I want to call it early because I want to relax.
I think I'll go to work after this. I got my computer here. Yeah, so.
I'm going to go sit with my granddaughter and watch TV. Well, Frankie, what are you doing?
Probably staying out here in Belgium.
No, oh, my God. So
it's either that or go in the house. Sometimes I just like to stay out here.
If we can think of somewhere to go detecting tomorrow, let me know.
Yeah, someplace dry because I think it's supposed to rain.
Is it? We got to work on another permission, man. We got to get.
Yeah. Well, either that or we got to drag Vince out by his earring. Get us all this.
Yeah, Vince. I don't know if he's watching or not, but yeah, Vince was like, we're supposed to go out and. He needs to retire. So, all right, guys, listen, thanks for everything tonight. I don't know what we have lined up for Monday night, but who knows? We'll line something up. And Ronnie, you want to say goodnight?
Well, once again, folks, thanks again for having us into your home. It was a joy, and always happy to answer any questions if anybody has them.
As long as it's not about detecting, we're good.
Yeah, as long as we don't talk about detecting, everything will be fine. But if you do have detecting questions, you can contact me at the Gold Digger.
Yeah, dude.
That number is 908-595-9933.
Save that stuff for Ronnie's shop, not for the detecting shop.
Yeah. You're not detecting stuff on your own time, will you? I don't know what you're getting at. All right, Ronnie. All right. Good night. Good seeing you, buddy.
Good night, everybody.
All right, buddy. That's good. Another good show.
Absolutely.
We got to work on getting guests, I guess, but we it's getting closer and closer to FH7. 1 month is going to go quick.
We're getting down to it now.
So that's why I want everybody to know what's happening. Let Greg know you're going to be there, because if 100 people at the last minute say they want to go, he might deny them.
I may bring down a couple boxes of masks just in case anybody wanted to partake.
I know I'll be wearing ones as much as I can, depending on how hot it is. But I mean, we are going to have to social distance.
No, when I'm out in the field, I ain't wearing the mask.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. But yeah, even outside and all. But yeah, we do have to practice social distancing.
I'll hang with the horses.
It's getting bad. There was a woman on TV tonight that Frank, you knew her, right, Frank?
I was friendly with her husband. Her husband was a cop. Yep. When I was in there. I mean, I knew Cherie, not well, but her family and everything I knew. Right. I was all of her in-laws were all cops with me, and it was a sad day. She wasn't that old.
She was a school security guard in Vineland, and it was on the local news tonight. Now how she died of COVID, and she's going to be
lost her father either right before or right after. I didn't catch the whole
story. It was right before. Yeah, and it's a shame. It's so guys, please just be safe. Wear a mask. Practice social distancing.
My wife got her shot today.
My test came back today negative for COVID. Yeah, which is good and bad. I almost wanted to get it, so I would have just been through it, but that didn't happen. So 14 days of quarantine for no reason. I don't want to wind up in quarantine again, but I wanted to be a little better off going to Florida.
Well, again, we're outdoors there. I get it, guys. We're going to be out in the field. There's plenty of distance between people. Nobody's wearing their mask when it's 70 to 80 degrees and you're not around people. But again, don't get offended when you come up and say hi and I put my mask on. That's all. Until I get my vaccines. Although New Jersey expanded their vaccine deliverance today, and I'm still put off.
So I was supposed to get it.
Yeah, right.
They've been having a mess with doing these things here for law enforcement and first responders. I don't know. The police department I was going to try and sneak in and get a vaccine with, some of the guys went and got one, and then other guys went somewhere else. So it's not a group thing. They were trying to do it as a group thing.
Yeah, keep better track of it.
Well, that didn't work out. So I might be on my own. I might not.
They opened it up to 65 and older, anybody starting today, and then if you have underlying conditions, like I have diabetes, so I figured, I got diabetes, I'm getting in to get my. So they said, yeah, you're on a later list. We'll let you know.
It's real, and it can be bad.
And you know what? It is, and it's not that hard to prevent.
So I'm gonna hang up my crown and go hang out with the granddaughter, buddy. Let's we'll talk about tomorrow, and
I'm gonna jump in here and start building more ugly boxes.
You get it.
We are building piles of them.
Good night, everybody. Thanks for being here, and we will see you Monday.
All right, guys. Thanks for everybody tuning in tonight. I apologize for being interrupted on my wonderful, riveting metal detecting talk. As always, any questions, you hit us up. You hit us up with questions about your machine. If we don't know it, we'll find it. We'll put it on the show at any time. Don't forget, don't leave me out there hanging by myself. Sunday night, Josh Kimmel's Metal Detecting Beyond Sight and Sound on Spreaker at 8:00. If you have electrolysis questions in general, if you have ugly box questions in general, hit us up. We're talking ugly box. We're talking electrolysis. Sunday night, 8:00, Beyond Sight and Sound on Spreaker.